Well, in case you missed it, reason number 5,761 of why you should have a physical library over digital games. Sony just announced that every game past March 2026 that you purchase, you have to log in to the internet every 30 days. Otherwise, you lose the license for that game, at least temporarily. Now, this whole thing started when players got onto their PlayStation accounts and were starting to notice that games that they had purchased recently, like I said, March of 2026, any game purchased past that point, they were noticing that it had a little timer on there, like counting down from 30 days from the time they purchased it, right? So if you had purchased it 3 days ago, they were seeing 27 days, 26 days. And then they were like, wait a minute, does that mean my games are about to expire? Like, what's going on, Sony? So obviously we got a huge backlash, and Sony ended up coming out and saying basically that, yeah, it was actually like a glitch in our code. It was a DRM bug, and we didn't actually intend for it to be like that, you know. And it's only for new purchases, so you ain't gotta really worry about it too much. It's also only a one-time validation, so you don't have to, do it over and over again. You only gotta worry about it one time. And I feel like Sony missed the entire point of why people were upset about this. I don't think people were upset about the fact that, you have to do this DRM thing, which, maybe a couple people are, and yeah, it is annoying. They're upset about the fact that you can just time out their licenses at any time, right? Your library is at the full discretion of Sony Services, PlayStation Network, and they can just wipe your entire library tomorrow. All the hundreds and thousands of dollars you spent on games, they can just say, yeah, we don't care. Fuck you. We're just going to take all of the money you spent and just destroy your entire library if they want to. And I think the real reason Sony chose to do this, in my opinion, is the fact that you can play games offline if you're someone who stays disconnected from the internet. And that's been the trend in a lot of games now, where you have to always stay online, even with single player games, and that it is so annoying. And that's the reason that I personally believe they're doing it, is to cut down on that and to make it harder to refund the game. Because if you're having to constantly update your license, you can't really refund the game. Which I believe they already had policies in place where you couldn't refund the game after you've already downloaded it and started playing it. Like, even if you downloaded the game at all, it's actually already against their refund policy, to my knowledge, which is extremely anti-consumer. And then you add this on top of it. And part of the backlash, too, I feel, was that they never announced this to anybody. And that's the biggest problem with these corporations, that they feel like they can just slip these things right under your nose. You'll never notice, you won't care, and they can just get away with it. They just think they're so sneaky, and the consumers are so stupid, right? They just think consumers are the most moronic, idiotic people that are just going to consume everything that gets put in front of them and not complain and not fight back and not criticize. Well, I'm going to criticize. As someone who has a PS5 with a huge library, this shit's annoying to me. Like, I don't want to always have to have internet connection to play my games. Like, what if there's a day when I'm just sitting in a big storm and my internet goes out, but I still have power? Like, maybe I want to play some of my offline games, you know what I'm saying? And most of my library is digital, unfortunately, but I don't have a disc on my PS5, so I don't really have a choice. I have to buy digital games. I don't have a physical disc drive no more. And it's just kind of scary that they can just wipe your entire library without notice, without warning, with no recourse for you. There is literally nothing you can do. It's in their terms of service, right? You can't sue them. You can't take them to court. You kind of just have to just let them do it. And even weirder and more eerie, in my opinion, is they really did try to hide this. They had made no effort to mention it or let anybody know about it up until the backlash started, right? I don't know why companies are so bad about this. Like, just announce the news, man. You don't want the Streisand effect, right? If you try to hide something and people find it, it only makes it more widespread. You think in the big year 2026, the year of our Lord, people would know more about the Streisand effect, and trying to hide information is always the worst thing to do if you actually want to try to hide information. You just publish it quietly, right? And leave it as like the footnote of like a news article, right? Where most people aren't going to read that far into it anyway and see it. And thankfully the backlash did force them to change, right? They ended up coming out and saying, yeah, we want to make sure it's only temporary. It's only a one-time validation. W win for them on that, right? More power to the consumers. It's a small, very small consumer win, but there's always the possibility they could do it again in the future. And it makes me kind of nervous about the next generation of consoles because gaming companies and gaming publishers and developers have this really insidious habit of introducing something to you at first that you don't like, and once they get massive backlash, they pull back on it, and then they come back with something even more aggressive, even more provocative, even more rage bait, if you want to call it that, and then they will dial that back. But because your mind has anchored on how bad the original thing was, they give you something watered down that's still awful, way worse than what it was before, and we accept that because it feels like the middle ground. And they just keep pushing the envelope and dialing back over and over to the point where you get to where the gaming system is where it is right now, right? Where everything's expensive, everything's always online, RAM shortages and chip prices are going crazy, and gaming as a whole just feels like it's just monetized to the last dime. And it sucks. It just sucks. I don't even know how else to put it. So my advice to any of you guys who are watching this would be to, if you have your physical edition of your PS5, Xbox, whatever it is, keep your games physical. Please keep your games on disc. I regret so much going digital only because now I fear every day that my library could just be wiped out just from Sony not liking what I say, or just finding an error in my account and all my games are gone tomorrow, just like that. So yeah, go physical only if you can, and don't ever put all your faith in one console developer, right? I'm PS5 guy. I play everything I play on the PS5, but I am not ride or die Sony. Yeah, if they do something that's super egregious that forces me to go to Xbox or PC, I will do so in a heartbeat. Let's not beat around the bush on it. I will definitely do it. Yeah, this has been Chris, keeping it candid. I'll let you guys go out there. Have a good day.